a great segue to talking about Erica Wheeler and Lexie Brown because I mean I was thinking it too. I'm like, so I've written up my little roster sheet here, right? And I've left the two guard spot and a bench spot open because outside of that they're mostly full, right? If you're going with an 11 player lineup. Like, so I'm asking this because I've seen her talked about both ways. I've seen Erica Wheeler referred to as your backup point guard. I've seen her referred as a two guard or someone you're starting next to Skylar, which I don't know what the hell the Storm are going to do this year, right? They both talked about more stuff coming, and as Rowan mentioned with rebounding, like I mean, you've got what, three real certified bigs here, like in Ezzy, NECA, and Lee. Like you got forwards, but I don't know how much I'm depending on them to rebound the ball. Um, where the hell do Lexie Brown and Erica Wheeler fit in? And I'm asking this purely like realistically. What does your opening day starting five look like? Because I've left these spots open and I want to hear your thoughts on this. I want to ask, normally I know we go both ways, and so I'm not singling Rowan out. I'm sorry, Rowan. But I know Christian has thoughts on this, especially with Erica Wheeler, right? So Christian, what's the plan with these two? Because you sign Erica Wheeler, and I think in a vacuum, that's a good signing, right? It's a good vet, knows, that's a, someone who knows how to score the basketball, so on and so forth. Lexie Brown, as Rowan was saying, like the shooting is there, the player went on the court, that's not a question. But availability, unfortunately, there's a business, right? Availability is the best ability. Okay. Like I looking at her basketball reference here and seeing like less than 20 games per year, I think in every game, every year of her career. Unfortunately, that's a factor. Like, I don't know, Christian, then Rowan, like where do these two fit in your mind?
In a perfect world, these are great additions to a team that needs guard depth, that needs leadership. Lexi has kind of been that every time that she's been in Chicago, back in her college days, especially when she was healthy in LA. She was like one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. I don't think that what was it 2020? I think it's 2023. Literally the best 3-point shooter in the league. I don't know how she wasn't an all-star that year. I was like, wow, you kind of have to have the best 3-point shooter in the league at the all-star, right? I mean, she has to at least to be in the 3-point shooting contest or something. I mean, got to do something, man. But in a perfect world, those are great additions. But realistically, like you guys have both echoed, unfortunately, Lexi has an issue being on the court. Now that's not anything, of course, of her own doing. But at the same time, from a basketball standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, you have to consider every variable. And not playing more than 20 games in a season, in your entire W career to date, I'm not sure that's exactly what the Storm need right now or are bargaining for. Now, of course, you want to see her play the entire season, but just kind of hope that actually comes into fruition. As far as Erica Wheeler, she's not necessarily a point guard. I consider her more of a combo guard. She can do both. But I think also an issue in today's league is that you're not really going to win anything or even really be heavily competitive without two true traditional point guards on your roster, at least. At least, you can talk about how great the big game is, right? How great all the forwards are in this league, the shooting guards. Without true point guards to get them the ball, you've seen teams kind of, falter, especially that are supposed to be good. You look at Phoenix last year. One of their main issues, guard depth. They didn't have anyone else really besides Natasha Cloud to distribute the ball. So they bring in players on different contracts, and it kind of worked for a little bit, but they were never really above 500 because of that. And I don't want to see the Storm go down that road, but if we're going on strict off the additions made right now, a lot of their issues have not been addressed. They weren't just last in efficiency; they were last in like takes. You're shooting the least amount of threes, and you have the worst percentage. And again, if Lexi Hall is healthy, that's great. But even if she is healthy, expecting her to kind of carry the burden of being the only 3-point shooter on the team, I mean, that's not good. As far as pure efficiency last year, for majority of the season, the best 3-point shooter team wasn't a guard. It wasn't a wing. It was NECA. She was shooting around like 40% for I think about maybe almost three-fourths of the year, maybe just below, maybe like 82.5 attempts a game. You know, you're never going to compete or win a championship in this league when that's your best three-point shooter. It has nothing to do with her talent. It's just the quantity, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, you covered what I was thinking, but also I think for me, when we heard about these signings, really the real question was, what does this mean for the draft pick? And I think that, I've heard of Erica Wheeler being thought of as a point guard. I've heard, I don't really think I don't really know. I watched enough of her to know that, but not enough to know really what the shooting ability is there. But I do think it's interesting because when you see those two signings, especially when there's been rumbles of Olivia Miles being the best option at this point. Um, I don't know. It's interesting to me to think about that many guards on one roster, and then to have Talisa and Noelle both bring up a possible, move to get some more rebounding in. I'm starting to wonder if they're setting their sights on someone other than Olivia Miles. And I don't know. I mean, I'd love to hear what both of you have to think about it because, to my understanding, it feels like Olivia Miles is, I mean, she's producing super well offensively right now. She's averaging 16 points, 6 rebounds, six assists right now. So I think that they would look for her to be, an offensive, a good shooter for them. Um, I don't know. I don't. I really am interested what you all think because thinking of Erica Wheeler as a point guard and then thinking about Olivia Miles as a point guard, but how can they kind of tap into her shooting abilities? It's just all things I'm not super sure about and interested in, actually.
Yeah, and that Rowan again is helping out the transitions here greatly because I mean we
Thank you.
get to
That
the
wasn't even my.
roster.
I just didn't have anything else to say. So
Yeah, you're doing a great partnership like your Macklemore and Ryan Lewis shirt here, buddy. It's
okay,
you're really putting
okay,
it together.
whatever.
Hey, who thrift shop? The white side of me is really showing.
I'm gonna pop some 10.
Oh
Wait,
my
is that the
God.
lyrics? Yeah.
I'm
Man,
never wearing
they
this
got
shirt again.
they got the fur coat from that show at the Mopop, the Museum of Pop Culture here in Seattle. If you want to wear the coat,
Who
Rowan,
knew?
we can put that on,
Oh,
Christian.
great.
Anyway, I'm
Thanks.
gonna I don't know, really quickly before I get back to the roster. Um I'm I singled out them mentioning Erica Wheeler shooting the three point because I know a lot of her stats last year goes, she was coming off the bench. She only started two games of her 39 games played for the Fever last year. Um, and 3-point shooting, she's at 28% from the three. She only really attempted one per game, so don't know what
Respectfully, did we watch Erica Wheeler play at all last year?
I don't know where
See,
that came from. Like I
I'm
that's
Special
why I
talents.
heard it and I was like, note that because that you see what I'm saying,
This is where
right?
we are, folks.
This
You
is
know,
where we are.
yeah.
Um, yeah. No, so I think it's a great discussion, um, about. So now we're getting into where the roster is now, because as
Hey, Charles.
hey Jen,
Hey, were you going to watch the Seattle Storm away games this year?
away games. Well, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, so I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See you all here.